Big news. Everyone's talking about it. Did everyone see it?
It is currently impossible for him and his family to return to the UK. He's also said that because of the current situation, his father, the King, isn't speaking to him. Well, Prince Harry is currently living in California, where
I can't see a world in which I would be bringing my wife and children back to the UK at this point. And the things that they're going to miss is, well, everything.
He was so determined to remind us that he was a member of the British royal family. Not only was he a member of the royal family, and he can't not be a member of the royal family, he told us, he wanted us to know he was a member of the royal family that was in the most danger.
I would hope they wouldn't consider it a win. And I'm sure there's some people out there, probably most likely the people that wish me harm, consider this a huge win.
And there are now reports that Prince Harry is being blackballed by the royal family because none of them trust him or Meghan Markle. Sources in Page 6 say, I genuinely think that nobody trusts him, and that's the bottom line. The royal family has major trust issues with him, and that's what's at the heart of everything. You know, Louise?
I think that he acted in the interest of his family in the immediate, not thinking he was giving up the rest of his family for the rest of his life.
I would not have taken this far if I didn't have compelling evidence of facts that reveal why the decision was made. There was no way to win this through the courts. Wish someone had told me that beforehand. Yeah, the decision has been a surprise as well as not a surprise. For the time being, it's impossible for me to take my family back to the UK safely.
What is particularly shocking at the moment, and if you just juxtapose how she looks in these interviews, like the cat who's got the cream, you know, my confession is that I'm the happiest I've ever been. I'm the happiest I've ever been. Life is so good. Cut to Harry on the BBC, totally devastated.
Despite what some people in that country have done. So, you know, I miss the UK. I miss parts of the UK, of course I do. And I think that it's really quite sad that I won't be able to show, you know, my children my homeland.
Look, I have to commend Harry and Meghan for one thing, which is the way they do protect the privacy of their children. Right. You can see his back is turned to the camera, he's looking at a sunset. He's sort of present, but there's no sort of breach of his identity. But you're absolutely right, this is all part of Meghan's sort of brand building narrative and storytelling thing that she's absolutely obsessed with on social media.
But the other side have won in keeping me unsafe. So again, there's a lot of question marks that a lot of people will have. I have all of the truth, I have all of the knowledge now throughout the legal process. I've uncovered my worst fears.
What's missing from here from a body language perspective so far is there's no worry, there's no sadness, there's no concern, there's nothing in there that shows that he's emotionally attached to this idea of being in danger or his family being in danger. Nothing.
He wants reconciliation. He learned from Canada that there cannot be reconciliation without truth. It's truth and reconciliation.
You're obviously very deeply affected by this.
Being in danger and his life being in danger. Why did he go to the Ukraine? Excuse me. He went to Ukraine. There's a war going on over there. He went to Nigeria. That's one of the most crime-ridden countries in the world. It's a very dangerous place. He's going over there, but he's saying he doesn't feel safe going to the UK. I don't know, man. And there's nothing in his face that shows he's worried or concerned.
I really hope that they get the chance to reconcile.
And 5 years later, every single visit that I do back to the UK has to go through the royal household. My representative on the Rabbit Committee, still to this day, is the royal household.
So I think all of us agree, you always want reconciliation. Watching this, I kind of felt like it was a Hail Mary. Like he's probably made outreach, not heard back. I can't speak to why he hasn't heard back or whatever, but I think that he must have thought, if I go out there on the BBC, perhaps that's a way to signal to my father, you know, in this period that you have left, I do want to talk and reopen those lines of communication, and I root for it.
He's not promised a reconciliation.
So the details of the security I can't talk about.
Okay, can't talk about the details of the situation. Why not? You have some big secrets or something nobody can know about? I understand there are things you can't talk about when it comes to security, you know, how it's done and those kind of things. That's not what she's asking you. That's not the question there. So you should be able to say, well, here's what the problem is. Here's what I think. He's keeping this stuff back for his book. I'm telling you, man, he's got a book coming.
I always say whatever you need to say while people are breathing and walking around and are mad at you today.
Claiming he does not see a world where he could bring Meghan and the kids back to the UK.
Harry would have been provided with some additional support, but I think his demands were a little extraordinary and I think unrealistic, particularly as he has officially stepped down from royal duties and he's not really operating a royal function, if you like.
100%. And he wants to be treated like a former prime minister.
Firstly, I'm devastated. Not so much as devastated as with the loss that I am about the people behind the decision feeling as though this is okay. You know, is it a win for them?
And participated in a sit-down interview with the BBC.
Opinion from his behavior, I think he's says that so it makes him look cooler. Like, you know, I don't need this. You know, it's like rock stars do.
Yeah.
And some actors do. They get away from me. I don't want my picture made, or I don't want to be videoed. And they want to be, so they'll stay in everybody's minds.
Yeah.
So I think that has lessened lately for Harry and his wife. So maybe this is a situation where he wants to get more attention.
And battling an undisclosed form of cancer.
Ripped from you probably hurts more.
Yeah.
This is between me and some of my family. This current situation that has been ongoing for 5 years with regard to human life and safety is the sticking point. It is the only thing that's left.
Now let's move on to Prince Harry. He's looking to reconcile his relationship with the royals. He's reportedly invited King Charles and Prince William to the 2027 Invictus Games.
Because he says, I can't talk about it now. At this point, I can't say anything.
When you
right
said
now,
that, my jaw hit the floor because I think the way that you stressed the way that he said this, I can't talk about it right now. I can't, like...
You write in the book, you say, I'd often say it to myself first thing in the morning, maybe this is the day. Maybe this is the day that she's going to reappear.
Yeah, hope.
And you stopped it and you said, I think something else, something bigger's on the horizon. And I was like, absolutely, because the wording is so specific. I can't talk about it right now. If I'm being dramatic, it could be seen as a threat. Like, if you guys don't fix this, I'm going to continue to talk.
The phone call never came. No formal letter, no palace aide with a polite explanation. Harry learned about his exclusion from King Charles' latest royal event the same way the rest of the world did, through news reports. That silence spoke louder than any words could, and for the first time the reality hit him like a freight train. The palace wasn't just ignoring him anymore, they were erasing him. Sources close to the Duke revealed that this wasn't just another family spat or diplomatic oversight. This was calculated institutional rejection delivered with surgical precision. Harry had spent weeks quietly lobbying through back channels, reaching out to former palace contacts, even having Meghan make subtle inquiries through mutual connections in the charity world. The couple genuinely believed that King Charles might extend an olive branch, especially given the foundation's focus on youth development, something Harry had championed during his working royal years. This wasn't another case of hurt feelings or family drama. This was institutional rejection at its most brutal. Sources close to Harry reveal he had quietly reached out through proper channels, hoping for even a symbolic invitation to the King's Foundation event. He had prepared remarks, cleared his schedule, and genuinely believed this could be his olive branch moment. Instead, he got radio silence followed by the devastating sight of Queen Camilla front and center at the very event he had been denied access to. The woman he once publicly criticized now stood where he couldn't even get a seat. The irony wasn't lost on royal watchers. Here was Camilla, once the most controversial figure in the royal family, now positioned as a pillar of stability while...
Of course, some members of my family will never forgive me for writing a book. Of course, they will never forgive me for lots of things.
moved beyond forgiveness. Everyone thought it was about forgiveness. The hateful things he said in his autobiography and the terrible things they said in the Oprah interview, it's now a matter of honesty and security. They cannot tell him anything. And that points to the fact that when he said that, he's worried about his father and wants to reconcile, and I don't know how much time my father has left, he has no idea, he has no information. They tell him nothing because whatever is said ends up in the media. Absolutely.
Harry, the once beloved prince, found himself completely frozen out. Palace insiders describe the transformation as remarkable. Camilla has gone from being the other woman to being the queen consort who represents continuity and discretion. Meanwhile, Harry went from being the people's prince to being seen as a security liability who cannot be trusted with sensitive royal information. But this latest snub is just a tip of a very cold iceberg. For 3 straight years now, Harry and Meghan have been excluded from Trooping the Colour, the monarchy's most significant public celebration. Each year, Harry reportedly holds on to hope that this will be the year they extend an invitation. Each year, that hope gets crushed a little more. Palace insiders say King Charles has adopted what they call the clean slate approach, treating royal events as if Harry simply doesn't exist. No consideration, no discussion, no debate.
This is just something for Harry to do. He needs to have a battle, he needs to have a mission.
I've never ever been allowed or offered to make my own representations. Not in 2020 and not for the last 5 years.
Just systematic exclusion. The pattern extends far beyond major ceremonies. Harry and Meghan have been quietly removed from royal family Christmas card distributions, excluded from private family gatherings, and even cut off from the informal communication networks that keep extended royal family members connected. Former palace staff describe it as a complete institutional divorce, more thorough than anything they witnessed during the Charles and Diana separation years. What makes this particularly devastating for Harry is how effortless the exclusion appears. The royal family isn't struggling without him, they aren't leaving obvious gaps in their public engagements, and they certainly aren't fielding questions about his absence.
It was all about trading off the royal name, and you've got to remember, she was lining up these deals, Meghan.
Do you feel you will be able to approach your father and speak about some of those issues?
I mean, no, I don't think he would ever want to talk about it. I think he would just push it aside, and the argument will continue to be this is a government decision. It may well be a government decision, but how did they reach that decision? When they ravaged the first place that they went to was the palace, to understand what it is that the royal household or what the royal family want for me.
The machine runs just as smoothly, if not smoother, without the Sussex drama overshadowing every event. King Charles' recent public appearances have been praised for their focus and lack of distracting subplots. The transformation within Palace walls has been remarkable and ruthless. King Charles, once the patient father trying to bridge family divides, has evolved into a monarch focused solely on stability and legacy. William's position is even harsher. Sources say he has completely written off any possibility of reconciliation, viewing Harry as a permanent security risk to the crown's reputation. Even staff members who once advocated for family unity now speak of Harry in past tense, as if his royal chapter has already been permanently closed. Recent reports suggest that William has been particularly instrumental in hardening the palace position against Harry. The Prince of Wales reportedly views his brother's media appearances and tell all projects as ongoing threats to the monarchy's reputation. Palace sources indicate that William has made it clear he will not tolerate any reconciliation efforts that might encourage Harry to continue his public criticism of the royal family. The security concerns around Harry have also intensified. Intelligence briefings reportedly highlight the risks of sharing sensitive royal information with someone whose media relationships and financial obligations create potential conflicts of interest. Harry's Netflix deal, ongoing legal battles with British media, and public statements about royal security arrangements have all contributed to a view within palace circles that he represents an unacceptable information security risk. Meanwhile, the American dream that Harry and Meghan chased so desperately is showing serious cracks. Their Archewell Foundation struggles to demonstrate real impact beyond vague press releases. Hollywood's initial fascination has cooled dramatically, with industry insiders noting that invitations to A-list events have slowed to a trickle. The Netflix content feels recycled, the brand extensions look desperate, and even their most loyal media allies are starting to hedge their coverage. 4 years after their dramatic exit, the question isn't whether they have succeeded in America. It's whether they have succeeded at anything. The couple's financial pressures are becoming increasingly apparent. Their Montecito mansion comes with enormous ongoing costs. Their security expenses are astronomical.
It raises questions about their sincerity. It starts to feel less like a reconciliation and more like PR. And realistically, the likelihood of the family accepting is slim.
I would love reconciliation with my family. There's no point in continuing to fight anymore. As I said, life is precious. I don't know how much longer my father has. He won't speak to me because of this security stuff. But it would be nice to reconcile.
And their content deals require constant output to justify the initial payments. Industry sources suggest that both Netflix and Spotify were disappointed with the actual performance metrics of Sussex content, leading to tougher negotiations for future projects. Meghan's recent ventures into lifestyle branding have been met with skepticism rather than enthusiasm. Her American Riviera Orchard brand launch was widely criticized as tone-deaf and poorly executed. The timing, coming amid ongoing royal tensions, seemed particularly insensitive to American audiences who are growing weary of the constant Sussex drama. The latest blow came in the form of another staff exodus. 4 key team members just walked away from Harry and Meghan's operation, marking yet another round of personnel changes that suggest serious internal problems. This isn't normal Hollywood turnover. This is a pattern that screams management dysfunction. Former employees have begun speaking anonymously about unrealistic expectations, chaotic decision-making, and a work environment that promises global impact but delivers endless drama instead. The staff departures paint a picture of an organization struggling with basic operational competence. Reports describe last-minute project cancellations, conflicting instructions from Harry and Meghan, and a tendency to blame external factors for internal failures. Several former employees have privately expressed frustration with what they describe as a disconnect between the couple's public messaging about compassion and leadership and their actual management style. These workplace issues have begun affecting the Sussex brand in measurable ways. Recruitment for senior positions has become more challenging, with several high-profile candidates reportedly declining opportunities to work with the couple. The constant turnover also disrupts project continuity and makes it difficult to build the kind of institutional relationships necessary for sustained charitable impact. Then came the Tyler Perry scandal, and Harry and Meghan's response was deafening silence. Perry, who provided them sanctuary during their lowest moments, faced serious allegations, and the couple who built their brand on speaking truth to power suddenly had nothing to say. Royal experts called it moral cowardice, but it revealed something deeper. The Sussexes only stand up when it serves their narrative, when loyalty might cost them something.
Guess what? Harry said no. He went to stay with a posh, rich friend at an £8 million flat. It has been revealed, Meghan, that he ordered Deliveroo.
He was denied security protection, the type of security protection someone born into the royal family requires, because we know what that kind of thing is. There's a lot of exposure, not only for him, but for the Duchess, Meghan, his wife, and his 2 children. And he wants to go and show them his home country. And so that was stripped away from him.
Well, I've now found out the truth. I've shared some of it with you today. A lot of it exists out there, whether people choose to ignore it or not.
They vanish. The Perry situation exposed the transactional nature of many Sussex relationships. Perry had been presented as a close friend and mentor, someone who stepped up when the royal family allegedly failed them. Yet when Harry faced his own crisis, the couple who built their reputation on standing up for the marginalized and speaking truth to power became conspicuously quiet. This selective loyalty hasn't gone unnoticed in Hollywood circles. Industry insiders note that the Sussex brand of activism appears highly strategic, focusing on issues and relationships that enhance their public profile while avoiding anything that might create uncomfortable complications. This calculated approach to friendship and advocacy has contributed to their growing isolation within entertainment industry social circles. The British public response to Harry's continued exclusion has been surprisingly muted. Polling suggests that most Britons support the royal family's decision to maintain distance from the Sussexes. The initial sympathy for Harry and Meghan has largely evaporated, replaced by a mixture of indifference and irritation with their ongoing public complaints about royal treatment. This shift in public opinion represents a significant victory for the palace's strategy of dignified silence. By refusing to engage in public back and forth with the Sussexes, the royal family has allowed Harry and Meghan's own actions and statements to shape public perception. The result has been a gradual erosion of sympathy for the couple and growing support for the monarchy's position.
They seem to be in this bubble where they think that they are the ones that are the victims in all of this and that they are not to blame and that everybody else is against them.
Which is what the interview was supposed to be about, so it makes sense. But he's finding a way to add all these other things, the entire story, into that one thing, which suggests to me he wasn't prepped for this. He didn't have a publicity person say, wait, don't hold that in. Don't tell them everything, because that way they'll want to come back, or somebody else will want to come back and talk to you. You hint at all these things. He did hint at a lot, which makes me think he's got a book coming. Something's up with that.
Even former Sussex supporters in the media have begun expressing fatigue with the ongoing drama. Commentators who once championed Harry and Meghan's cause now write about the need for the couple to move forward and stop relitigating past grievances. This represents a significant shift in the narrative landscape that once strongly favored the Sussex version of events. This isn't just another chapter in the royal soap opera. This is the final page. King Charles has moved from disappointed father to decisive monarch, and that shift changes everything. The palace no longer plans around Harry. They plan without him. The American public is moving on to newer celebrity dramas. Even Meghan appears to be quietly repositioning herself with solo projects and strategic rebranding efforts. The writing isn't just on the wall. It has been there for months, getting bolder and more permanent with each passing royal event that happens without them. Harry can keep hoping for reconciliation, but hope doesn't open locked doors, and the monarchy has already thrown away the key. The finality of this separation represents a historic moment for the British royal family. Never before has a senior royal been so completely severed from the institution while still holding titles and remaining in the line of succession. The palace has essentially created a new category of royal exile, one that maintains the formal structures while eliminating all practical connection and influence. For Harry personally, this represents the complete collapse of his lifelong identity as a working royal. Everything he understood about his purpose, his relationships, and his future has been fundamentally altered. The man who once walked behind his mother's coffin as the nation mourned, who served with distinction in Afghanistan, who created the Invictus Games, now finds himself completely cut off from the institution that defined his entire existence. The tragedy isn't just personal, it's generational. Harry's children will grow up with virtually no connection to their royal heritage, their grandfather, or their uncle who will one day be king. The family fracture that began with Harry's departure has now become a permanent chasm that may never be bridged, reshaping the royal family tree for decades to come.